it probably would have been better for me to just quit, even though that's like scarier.
Welcome to a new episode of Digital Nomad Talks. Today I have Garret.
That's right, Garrett Simpson. Happy to be here.
Great, thank you so much. So we are in Bali, and Garret is a new nomad, and I thought it would be super interesting to sort of like interview a new nomad and ask some questions about like how do you start your digital nomad journey when you're already in paradise. For everyone who's tuning in right now or sees this for the first time, my name is Nienke Nina, and I'm the founder of DigitalNomadsDaily.com. Digital Nomad Talks. It's a series where I interview nomads from all around the globe about their nomadic challenges, struggles, and they also share life hacks. So keep on watching, and let's start.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Who is Garret Simpson?
That's right. Spent the past 3 years doing software engineering for SolarCity and Tesla in San Francisco Bay Area. It took me a while to get into software, I guess, but I did mechanical engineering undergrad, ended up working at a startup in India for 2 years right after college. That was awesome. That was my first experience of sort of living overseas, and I really enjoyed that. I'm subletting my room in San Francisco.
How are you planning to get a job?
From a software perspective, there are a couple of websites that are designed for sort of freelance software engineers. You can basically like bid on projects and do that. But there's also AngelList is a website where you can look at startups that it kind of matches people looking to work at startups and startups looking to hire people.
Okay, cool.
And so I think there's a setting on there where you can like filter for like remote opportunities. Really looking at all your expenses and being like reducing the money coming out as much as possible.
Yeah.
And that could also include too, like, when you're traveling, like, yeah, it's fun to like get drunk and stuff, but like if you cut down on the drinking, that can save you a lot of money too while traveling.
And coffee.
Coffee.
I cut down on coffee and it saves me so much money.
Right, yeah. This past year at Burningman, I actually met somebody who encouraged me. It was like week 1 of a 3-week vacation, and I was really unhappy with my job. I was really burnt out. So I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with the last 2 weeks. Yeah. And this person encouraged me. She mentioned Bali as a place that she loves to go. And I was like, oh, I've heard about Bali from all these other people. Like, definitely want to make it there sometime, in the future. And she's like, just go for it. Like, you're already packed, you have 2 weeks, just go home, make it happen. So I did. And I really enjoyed Bali. I was 2 weeks traveling by myself, and that was the first time I'd really traveled by myself and done like the backpacker thing. So I really enjoyed meeting new people, and I specifically in Ubud in Bali. I mean, there's a community in Canggu too, but meeting all these people that were doing the whole like, location independent kind of either freelance thing or just like living life on their own terms, and that was really inspiring. And I was like, I could see myself doing this, Honestly, I've struggled some days with like having so much freedom and like not as much structure, Yeah. So like what I've started to do is, I have recognized that like more and more like yoga I think is really good for me personally with like improving my mood and just sort of starting the day off on like the right foot. But yeah, I'm trying to focus on building those routines, in the morning that kind of prime you and get you like ready to kind of tackle the day. In terms of like what I'm doing the rest of the day, I'm also open to just meeting other like-minded people. So I got a membership at Ubud where I met you, and just being open to, because maybe if they're working on a cool project, I'm actually talking with some people that there's a potential for me to like start working part-time for them doing some software stuff on their like startup, right?
So for everyone who doesn't know what Ubud is a co-working space in Ubud.
Yes. At the time I was traveling with one of my buddies my roommate actually from San Francisco, but we were like going to a lot of different places pretty quickly. it's good to find places that resonate with you and like where you can stay longer and become a little bit more grounded and settled. Honestly, I've struggled some days with like having so much freedom and like not as much structure, you know. Yeah. So like what I've started to do is, you know, I have recognized that like more and more like yoga I think is really good for me personally with like improving my mood and just sort of starting the day off on like the right foot. So yeah, I definitely recommend, you know, with your itinerary, not to have it be too strict, right?
Yeah.
You can have like a broad guideline of, you know, want to go here, want to go there, but be flexible because you might meet someone you want to travel a bit with or what have you. So I think another thing is this idea of you'll get off track with your like career. I think more and more people, like, it's becoming acceptable to have like 6 month or like 1 year sabbaticals, you know, to sort of pivot, figure out what you want to do, and figure out things that fill you up more. You know, the worst case scenario that could happen is that you just go back to some other job.
Yeah, that's true.
Idea that I needed to be like, because I wasn't happy, I was trying to just like figure out how to be like more efficient and like optimize stuff so I could get my shit done more. But this idea of like, I'm not doing well enough and I need to like be more productive like all the time. So I've definitely had some days where I've been pretty down on myself because I felt like, you know, maybe I had the intention of like learning some software engineering stuff, but I just like didn't feel like it, and then it was just like didn't let myself just relax or do something else, you know.
Yeah.
And so just working on being more in the moment and like recognizing that I have time, I have space, and it's not like a race.
Yeah.
And I can kind of go at my own pace more. I would almost say like not starting soon enough. Like my greatest failure, I think my biggest, maybe to rephrase it, like my biggest learning was just trying to, like last year was a year of recognizing when, learning to recognize when I needed to change things, you know. My relationship with my job got to a really bad place, and it probably would have been better for me to just quit, even though that's like scarier. Okay. Recognizing sooner when you need to make that change. Yeah. And knowing when to like end relationships, be it with your job or like with
friends or
toxic people in your life. You know, like sometimes you got to recognize when they're sapping energy of you from you. You know. Recording, clap. Cool.
So, what's the most controversial thought about nomad life?
Nomad life. I think that if you're just focused on like building your business and traveling and not developing like deeper relationships with both people and the places you go, I think is not a sustainable thing to do. Okay. Because we need deep relationships to really fulfill us as humans, right? And it's hard, it's easy to meet lots of people, but it's hard to have deep relationships with people when you're always moving around. Yeah. So in the back of your head.
All right. So last part of the interview is always, I always ask nomads if you have a question for me.
Yeah. So a question for you. How long have you been traveling? And like, you know, location independent, and what are things you still struggle with? Okay,
cool. Great question. So I have been traveling, so I've been living abroad for almost 5 years now, which is like a combination of like studying, internship, working, like do that kind of stuff. I live my nomadic lifestyle since like 1.5 years now, I would say. I think the things that I'm mostly struggling with is finding balance between like how much I want to work, how much I feel like I should work, and playtime. So I'm always on this rush to like work more, and I don't really find my playtime, and then I burn out. And I think one of the reasons why I started this lifestyle is because I had a burnout and I wanted to get out of that space. So that's like my biggest struggle. But I have a life coach for that. I recognize this, so awareness was a very important thing. I'm working on that. It's still hard, but I'm getting there.
Cool.
Woohoo!
Awesome.
All right, well, I want to thank you for being here today and for sharing like your story about your first nomadic months. And
Sure.
I really wish you all the best, and I hope you're going to find like that balance and eventually a job and your place where you want to stay, whether it's here or home or wherever home will be. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Go to digitalnomadsdaily.com for more stories about digital nomads and their journey. If you have any question in particular, drop your question below in the comment box. If you're going to be in Bali and want to join, just write me. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.